In today's video, do your daily steps count towards your calorie deficit? Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, I'm going to address the question of how do we create the caloric deficit and how do your daily steps come into play, because it's become very trendy, and for good reason. I hope I've had some influence on that. But the idea of tracking our daily steps and using that as a measure of movement. And today's question comes from right here on my Instagram direct message. So you guys crushed it over the weekend. I think I had something like 40 or 50 questions come in since Friday alone. So I'm trying to keep up. So I appreciate the questions and I will go through them. But also if you have another question related to this video, be sure to ask it in the comments below. And guys, I love doing this. I'm a coach. I'm gonna go answer coaching emails after this. I like to focus on, myself putting on muscle, losing body fat, helping others do that. But to do that, I need you guys to subscribe to the channel, because that's what makes my day when it comes to putting out this content for you guys. And all the free training programs on ProPhysique.com, all the stuff that I wanna do for you guys, it all starts with that excitement that I get around seeing the channel grow. So I love this community we've built. Thank you guys for coming along. Let me read the question, and then we are going to get into it. I know you probably get 1,000 questions a day, but I want to ask something that I've been confused about. Do you count the calories you burn during your daily 10,000 steps a day towards your deficit when cutting? For example, if I ate 2,500 calories from food, and that was my maintenance calories, and I burned 300 calories walking, would that put me in a 300 calorie deficit, thus making me lose weight? I think this is probably one of the more common questions I've been getting, because now that people have fitness trackers, and now that calorie tracking and macro tracking has become as simple as it has become, and food labels have nutrition information, there's just a lot of data, right? So people are plugging in the data, and I love it. But what I want to talk about is what we actually know, what we don't know, and how we can ensure we're making progress. Because one of the things I often hear is, hey coach, I'm in a calorie deficit. I have been for 3 months, but I haven't lost any weight. Well, you're not in a deficit. The definition of a caloric deficit is not what your phone says it is, okay? It's not a calculator that says, oh, I'm in a deficit. That's not what determines you're in a deficit. What determines you're in a deficit is actually seeing progress, seeing fat loss, seeing your body composition change. And so for that reason, I want to get into what the tools I use as a coach are, and how you can apply these tools to yourself if you're looking to make progress. Because ultimately, all the data in the world is worthless if we are not actually making progress. So what do we look at as a coach? What do I look at as a coach? What I try to do is put every one of my clients in a position where I can look at a bunch of data and make an informed decision on, are we making progress or not? I don't go by calculators to determine if I should make adjustments. I go by these 3 things, and this is what you should be tracking. You should be stepping on the scale. Now, I believe in stepping on the scale every day when I'm trying to lose fat. Why? Because it takes away the importance of one day over another, and it's just data. And then we're looking at averages, because there are going to be spikes and valleys throughout the process of weight loss. Don't get overly excited because the scale's down 4 pounds one day. You might have just sweat a lot the day before. And don't be too, bothered if the scale is up 4 pounds. You might be sore from a workout, or maybe yesterday you had a ton of sodium. Or if you're a female, maybe you're dealing with your cycle. There are a lot of reasons why the scale goes up and down. Most of them are related to water. Our bodies are 80% water. So stop worrying about just the scale. But if you're trying to lose body fat and you're trying to recomp, the scale is a useful tool. So we don't want to overlook it. But the other 2 tools, which for fat loss, probably the most important one is actually measurements. Because when you're losing body fat, measurements change, okay? Especially the waist, the thighs, the hips, the chest, the shoulders, wherever you want to take measurements, the neck even, you're going to see improvements. You can do calipers if you know how to do that, but you don't really need to do that. And the third thing is going to be pictures, of course. That's how you determine successful weight loss. You want to make sure you're doing this, guys, controlling the controllables. If you're hitting 2,500 calories a day, which is your maintenance that you found out, and you're walking your 10,000 steps, and that's burning 300 calories, that's great. But understanding that we burn far more calories, and I'll put a graph here on the screen to show you, through NEAT. What is NEAT? NEAT is non-exercise activity. Now, you could count your daily steps as a part of NEAT. For those of us that are busy throughout the day, getting up and moving. Maybe you have a job working in a gym. Maybe you work in a restaurant. Maybe you are a nurse. Whatever the job is, if you're on your feet getting a lot of steps a day, that is a lot of calories burned. Now, most of us, if this is our normal routine, adapt to that by eating more to compensate, because our bodies are going to tell us, hey, you're not getting enough. But if you actually start tracking your calories and paying attention to your NEAT, that might be all you need to do to lose weight, is just a little bit of accountability, okay? Our bodies have a sensor that tell us when to eat and when to stop eating. Sometimes we ignore it, sometimes we listen to it. But the idea is that what I'm doing as a coach and what you should be doing is just looking at the data. Give yourself a week, hit the same exact macros, do the same exact exercise, do the same cardio, have the same activity levels, and then what we should do is see if there's been progress in the pictures, in the measurements, on the scale, okay? And if there's not, just because it says you're in a deficit, don't believe it, okay? Make the adjustment necessary. This is how coaching works, and you are going to become your own coach through this process. So let's talk about controlling the controllables. Food intake. Now, a lot of people will say to me, Coach, I'm hitting my 2,000 calories and I'm not losing weight. Okay, but are you actually hitting 2,000 calories? Because here's what happens when I do a bodybuilding competition. When I diet down, I'm really a little bit more detailed than the average person. That's why you see all these trophies over here. This is why you see my clients, if you're following my Instagram, and the way the results they get is because they're paying more attention. So we're not guessing that we're hitting our calories. We're weighing our food, and we're learning the foods that digest well with us. And then you can make adjustments. If you're just eyeballing food, or if you're trusting a restaurant nutrition fact as what's gonna get you there, the problem is if you're not making your own food, there can be a huge variation in the amount of calories. Just because you scanned a food item from a restaurant and went there and ate, that does not mean that's what you got. However, if you cook, prepare, and weigh your own food, you are really reducing the likelihood of errors. Rule number 1, control the controllables. You are now controlling your food intake by preparing your own food. You're also saving money. So a lot of times the things that make us really good bodybuilders are just good for our lives overall. And I'm not suggesting that everyone needs to be a bodybuilder, but by becoming an expert in your own body, it's going to improve your life. So what else can we control when it comes to controlling the controllables? Our exercise. Are you being consistent? Have you set up a routine where you can get up in the morning, get your exercise done? Maybe you go at lunchtime, maybe you go after work. Are you putting everyone else first but yourself? Are you inconsistent? Control the controllables. Try to create an environment where training for you is just a part of your day. I heard someone say this and it really stuck with me. We don't think about brushing our teeth. We just do it. Make your daily routine the same. Just do it. Just get in and brush your teeth. Just get in and do your gym every day, okay? Your cardio, your steps, you're already tracking. You're doing a good job with tracking your steps, but understand that your activity can vary from week to week. You might not think of it, but maybe you play in a softball league and some weeks you're playing 6 games and some weeks you're playing 1. Well, that's a big difference. So understanding that that might impact your overall performance and weight loss and then in the gym and all these things can really help if you're just looking at the big picture. I think a lot of people just get caught up on, let's look at my calories and let's look at my fitness tracker. But there's a lot more that goes into that. Another big one, and probably the thing that I've learned to pay attention to the most with my clients, is stress, anxiety. I've come to believe that stress and anxiety can actually prevent fat loss from happening, even in the face of low calories and high cardio. There is an inflammatory response that kind of locks the body up and prevents fat loss from happening. And so make sure you're getting adequate sleep, okay? Sometimes that's easier said than done, but if you know it's gonna be a particularly stressful time in your life, fat loss might not be the best goal. Maintenance, keeping up with your workouts might be a better goal, okay? And then you can focus on fat loss when you are getting better sleep, when you are getting better recovery, okay? These are the controllables that we can control, okay? I have never in my life had a client that was preparing their own food, tracking their diet, not make progress, okay? The ones that I come across, I'm like, hey, we have to have a discussion because we're not seeing progress. Oh, well, you know, sometimes I'm making my kids food and I have an extra bite. And I'm telling you, when you do those little things throughout the day, it adds up. A few hundred calories throughout the course of a day can literally stall your progress depending on what phase you're in. So it's about understanding the big picture and also understanding that we start to conserve energy as we are in a caloric deficit. Our body starts to fight the fat loss by conserving energy. You might find yourself wandering in the kitchen. You might find yourself not getting off the couch as much. You might find yourself avoiding activities that you normally do. You might not even find yourself doing these hand movements as frequently, right guys? When I diet down, and I'm not there yet, but I've been dieting for a little while now, since I started the Pro Physique Transformation Challenge, and we're about to give away $50,000 in a couple of weeks. And yes, we're probably gonna do another one in the fall, July, August, September timeframe. I'll let you guys know about that. But what I find is that, you know, as I go through this, I feel great, but there is a point where I start to conserve energy, and I have to really pay attention to, okay, I need to get up more often. I need to intentionally go about my day so I am doing more things that I'm burning calories doing. Because what I would prefer is all people lose weight without having to do something they don't enjoy, okay? Most of us enjoy going for a walk with our friends, family, our dog. Most of us don't enjoy getting up at 5:30 a.m., going to the gym and standing on a treadmill, right? Both can be valuable, but finding ways to fit in what works for you is best, and understanding that you have to control the controllables, remove the variables, and trust the data. If you're not making progress, screw what those calculations are saying. You're not in a deficit. All right, guys, hopefully this video helps. Hope you're having an awesome Monday, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.